And joining us today on the Book Talk segment of the show, great to welcome a man who knows a little bit about money and investing. His new book is doing real well. It's called Street Smarts, Adventures on the Road and in the Markets. We're joined today by Jim Rogers. And Jim, good to have a chance to talk to you. I had a chance to read through the book, and you've done something that I think a lot of our listeners would love to do. You retired early.
Well, I did. I mean, I worked very hard. I loved what I was doing, so I worked passionately at it and didn't jump into the detriment of a lot of other things, but I certainly invested and worked hard and had a little bit of success.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the American way, or the American dream, anyway.
Well, I hope everybody does it. I hope everybody has that kind of success.
Your book, I guess the theme of it is, and just having a chance to read through it, that I guess investors should look more toward China now as the place that's going to be the next hot place for the next 10, 15, maybe longer years, right? Is that accurate?
Longer than that, I think this century is going to be the century of Asia. Doug, the largest creditor nations in the world now are China, Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan. I mean, I don't like saying it since I'm an American like you, but the assets and the money is in Asia now. We in America are the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. I don't like saying that, but it's a fact.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you see the news, and even if you don't follow it on a daily basis or, the intricacies of the market, you do hear that China owns a lot of our debt. Is that something people should be worried about, or is it something that, can be fixed eventually?
First of all, as you just pointed out, they should be aware of it, if nothing else, because, for goodness sake, you've got to know what's going on in the world and how the world is changing. The world has changed throughout history, and it's changing again, Doug. Should we be worried about it? Well, yes, we should be worried. We shouldn't so much be worried about that China's our largest credit. We should be worried about our debt. The debt has gone up in the last 5 years, Doug, more than the entire history of the Republic in the 200 years before that. So we're spending money at a crazy rate, and it's eventually people run out of other people's money, and I'm afraid it's going to happen to us too unless somebody starts paying attention.
Yeah, it seems to me, and I'm not talking, whether Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter, that debt, which has grown to, I guess, 16 trillion plus now, and a lot of it over the last 8, 12 years, maybe the last 4 years, it doesn't seem like the politicians are too concerned about it, and then the public maybe is kind of blasé to it, but that's a dangerous situation, isn't it?
Extremely dangerous. No country in history that's gotten itself into this situation has gotten out without a crisis or a semi-crisis. Again, I don't like saying any of this. People have got to understand what's going on, or they're going to suffer with everybody else. Please, we need to do something. And yes, maybe if we cut our spending, maybe if we start adapting to the reality and stop bailing people on Wall Street out. One of the problems, of course, is a lot of the debt comes from bailing out people on Wall Street instead of letting them fail. I mean, that came from the financial community. But as far as I'm concerned, when people go bankrupt, they're supposed to fail. They're supposed to go bankrupt, not get bailed out so they can keep their Lamborghinis.
The whole Too Big to Fail, they made a couple of movies about it, and like you said, the bailouts, part of, the American dream is, you have a business, great, if it makes it, you make a lot of money, but if it doesn't make it, you lose, but you have a chance to rebuild. I think that's we've gotten away from that, haven't we?
And if you lose, then it gives an opportunity for some other young man or woman or entrepreneur to come up and make his way. But when the government is backing people so they don't fail, it's harder and harder for new entrepreneurs, new people with drive to come forward and replace them. That's not the way it's supposed to work.
I guess maybe one reason why the bailouts, so many people now, I guess, 20, 30, 40 years ago, people didn't really think about the stock market much. It was kind of almost a separate society, but now everybody has a 401k, at least part of their money's in the stock market, so they pay attention to that, and if stocks start to go down, then they get worried. So I guess that's one reason why the government feels it has to bail out these companies. Am I right about that, or...?
No, I think the real reason is because the companies, when they get in any trouble, they call up the Federal Reserve, they call up the Treasury Secretary and say, save me, save me, save me. If the Western civilization is coming to an end. And so, they do it. But when the plumber from Toledo or the farmer from Baton Rouge calls up, then they don't even take the call. It's because these guys have connections and they want to be saved. Again, I came from that world, but I'm just telling you, we'd be better off if we let people fail and let other people start over.
Talking with Jim Rogers, Street Smarts is the name of the book, and we just touched on a couple of things in the book. We talked briefly at the beginning about Asia being the place place right now for investment. Actually, did you move to Singapore? Or do you live there part of the year? Is that right? Or?
Yes, we sold our house in New York about 5 years ago and moved to Asia. As you well know, Doug, many people move to be near a school with a good football coach or a good music teacher or something. I wanted my children to know Asian and to speak Chinese. I couldn't do it in New York, so we sold our house and moved to Asia. People do strange things for their children, don't they?
You talk in the book about certain professions people should kind of look at now, and I guess you talk about farming, mining, and energy providers. Those are good things to be in right now.
Well, Wall Street finance has been the great place for the past 30 years. In my view, that's changing again. We've had these big changes throughout history, cycles throughout history. And in my view, farming is going to be one of the best parts of the world economy and American economy for the next 20 or 30 years. We're running out of farmers. We produce more people who study public relations, Doug, than study agriculture in America. The average age of farmers in America is 58. In 10 years, they're going to be 68. So anybody who's got any ambition or wants to be successful, if they like farming, they should become a farmer. That's where the money's going to be.
It was a great ad. I don't know if you saw it, Jim, on the Super Bowl. Paul Harvey voiceover of "And God Made a Farmer" got a lot of great reaction about that. I guess kind of hopefully maybe put some of the focus back on needing farmers, particularly in this country.
Well, we certainly do. As I say, we're running out of farmers in the world, and that's going to be a very exciting and lucrative part of the world in the next 20 years.
I know we have limited time today, but for the average person out there that maybe they don't follow their money as closely or the stock market closely, what can they do to kind of ease the tension in their lives as far as the money goes right now? What can they do?
Well, first of all, they shouldn't go deep in debt as far as investing. They shouldn't listen to me or somebody they listen to on the radio, unless it's you, of course, Doug. But they should invest in what they know. Find out what it is you know a lot about. Pay attention to that area, because it doesn't matter whether you know fashion or cars or whatever it is. There are opportunities in the area that you know something about. Just try to pay a little more attention and find investments in that area. And don't go off listening to hot tips and getting involved with things you don't know about. You're going to suffer if you do that.
A lot more information available now, just going online to do research, which I guess that'll help too, right? But go to reputable places.
It's certainly easier to get a lot of information these days. But don't think it's easy, because it's not. It's never been easy for me anyway to make money as an investor.
No, just reading some of the great stories you tell in the book. I mean, you've made some mistakes too, but you were able to come back from them. I think that's a great lesson learned there.
I certainly made plenty of mistakes, and I'm good at losing money. I promise you, Doug. I lost lots of money in my day.
The name of the book is Street Smarts: Adventures on the Road and in the Markets. We've been talking with Jim Rogers today. Jim, you got a website? People get a hold of the book or get a hold of you if they like?
Well, you can buy the book at any bookstore or anywhere online. Yeah, I've got a website, jimrogers.com, but the best place is, Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any your local bookstore. Everybody's got it. Anybody can buy the book from just about anywhere that sells books.
Great. Jim, pleasure to talk to you for a few minutes. Look forward to doing it again. If you're ever in Florida, look us up. We'd love to have you in the studio sometime.
Well, thank you, Doug. It was a lot of fun. Let's do it again.